I'm Harlan Cohen. Welcome, Firestarter students and parents and family and friends. It's so great to be with you again. I loved being part of this event, and I look forward to being in your corner. I know I promised to answer some questions, so let's get started. These are some of the questions that you texted during our event. So number one, when building your support network of people in college, what's the best way to handle social anxiety? So congratulations, the fact that you know that you have social anxiety is amazing, because knowing is going to help you to start preparing for what's next. So I like to use people, places, and patience. It's always people, places, and patience for me. That's what I mentioned during the event. Especially when you know who you are and know what you need, it gives you an advantage. So for you, it's going to be, where can you find places where you can get comfortable with the uncomfortable, using your experiences in high school, using the things that you love to do to guide you. If music is your thing, then putting yourself in an environment where you can play or be a part of something musical. Or if spirituality and religion is where you found your way, finding that same place in college or athletics. So finding those places, and then people. It's so important for you to have your therapist or your counselor or someone who's in your corner. So in addition to having the person that helped you in the past, you can keep that person, but you can find more people through the advising center, through spiritual groups, through many of the organizations. So it's going to be people, places, and yeah, patience. It doesn't take 2 weeks or 2 months. It could take a year. It could even take a couple years. But if you start off by understanding what you need, you're going to set yourself up to really get comfortable with these changes and minimize the anxiety. All right, next question. What's the best lesson you've learned from college? I learned to be awesome at rejection. I'm really good at rejection. I mentioned this before, but truly, college taught me that not everyone's going to respond the way I want, and the only way to really get where I want to go is to focus more on what I want as opposed to being wanted. Because if I look at success not in terms of you responding the way I need you to respond, but if I measure success in my ability to share what it is I think and feel, giving you permission to respond however you're going to respond, I'm going to live a life that's much more driven by what I want as opposed to being wanted. And that is what college taught me. And it's something that I still am constantly working on. It's a great muscle. So we could talk more about that, a few more questions. Next question. As a student going in undecided, what's the best way to figure out what to major in? Major in something. Major in something, take your prerequisites, and outside the classroom, put yourself in a place where you can experience what you're majoring in. The biggest mistake so many students make is they think, okay, my major is my life, and they become paralyzed with fear. The reality is most people change their major. The reason that so many people live lives that aren't really in alignment with what they want is because they don't spend time living what they want, and they don't experience it. So my suggestion is major in something. Appreciate that you might continue that major or not, and then put yourself in an environment where you can experience what that major would be firsthand. Whatever it is you're interested in, put yourself in that environment and see how that feels. More important than picking a major is figuring out what you don't like, and the way we figure that out is by experiencing it. So, appreciate that. Most people change their major. Harlan, which is more important to you, conformity or individuality? Are nonconformists considered conformists because they purposefully avoid societal norms? You're a philosopher, a philosophy major. I look at myself as an individual. I thrive on individuality. I also like to be part of a group in some situations, but as an individual, putting myself out there and being comfortable with other people responding how they want. Remember the whole rejection piece? To me, that's a lot about being an individual and being someone who leads based on what you feel and giving people permission to respond, which is a lot of times individuality, which is scary and difficult, but if you understand what's so scary, it doesn't have to be so hard. All right, that was a good answer. How safe is the campus? Any fatal attacks in the last year? UIC is one of the 100 most safe campuses. I don't know if you know this. It really is statistically one of the safest campuses. You're also in Chicago, and as someone who's lived in Chicago for like 20 years, here's the deal. You gotta be aware of your surroundings, okay? You gotta just know that you're in a city with lots of different people. You have to be careful when it comes to walking in certain neighborhoods at certain times of the day. You don't want to walk alone at night, and you can rely on transportation and cabs, Uber, Lyft, whatever you want. But it's being aware and recognizing that you are in a city, and being in an urban environment means that there are different dynamics in place, and you need to be aware. And if you're aware, you're going to be all right. You're going to be more than all right. Oh, and fatalities, I didn't find any. So talk to campus safety, talk to the campus police, and ask them that question, and they're going to give you all of that information. And you can ask them any other questions you have. What do I do if I get homesick while I'm away from school? Well, if you're a parent, you can celebrate because you won. Your kid is sick of being away, which is exciting. They like home. If you're someone who's experiencing it, recognize that 2/3 of students experience homesickness. So instead of going home, mistake, stay on campus, put yourself in those places, surround yourself with those people who are going to help you to find your connection, and give it time. If you're always away, or if you're on your phone or device, and you're not physically connected to campus, you're not going to feel that. You're not going to feel like it's home. And again, it doesn't take 2 weeks or even a couple months. It takes a good year. But if you're constantly working to make it home, it will start to feel like home. You just have to give it time. Next question. What's your favorite Starbucks drink? I am a Pike Place coffee drinker. So here's the secret. I take my mug and I bring it to Starbucks. I'm a gold member, which doesn't take much work, which means I get free refills. So here's what you do. I know some of you, money, you just want to save money. So here's what you do. You take your cup and you get a tall coffee. You don't get a grande, you don't get a venti, you get a tall in your mug. Then you sit there, you drink it. You get free refills. You use the cream, you use the milk. You could use as much cream and milk as you possibly want. You could just fill with a little bit of coffee. And you do this all day, getting your refills. And you will be very peppy because a lot of coffee. Maybe switch to decaf. Next question. If after taking some time to decide what I want to do and I decide I want to change colleges, for example, from liberal arts and sciences to engineering, how easy is that process? I don't know. But I do know I met some engineers. I'll show that picture. Look how friendly they are. It was so nice because I got to hang out at the fair afterwards. And these people, they want to help you. So you can ask them this question. And if you are unsure of your major or think you may want to change, talk to your advisor as well, because there's certain classes you could take so that it will be a little easier for you to make this change should you want to make this change. But talk to these people. They are amazing and they are helpful, and many of them were just like you. Some of them might have even changed their major. Next question. What advice can you give to us, the parents, on how we can effectively help our teenager during their transition to college to set them up for success and, in quotes, real life while continuing to build a strong relationship with them? I'm going to give you 5 rules. I'm just going to fly through them. I could spend an hour on these, but I'm just going to give you the highlights. 5 rules for college parents. 1, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. I don't know why I'm using my thumb. 1, get comfortable with the uncomfortable. It's not just your child getting comfortable with the uncomfortable, but it's you, because the more calm and patient you can be, the better listener you're going to be and the more supportive you're going to be. Number 2, you need your people, you need your places, and you need to be patient. A lot of parents don't have people or places. Especially if it's your only child or your last child, you're no longer connected with your high school community. You need to make sure you do have those connections. You can schedule a group meeting. You can have coffee, or you can have lunch, or you can have dinner or wine or whatever with some friends, so that you have your people and places. And if you get coffee, you can bring your mug and get your refills. Number 3 is their struggles belong to them, but their victories belong to you. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek, but the idea is to give your kids permission to struggle. Give them that room, knowing that if they have their people and places and you can be patient, they're going to find their answers. Number 4, the 24-hour rule. Give everything 24 hours. If there's a problem, give it time. Because in those 24 hours, they're either going to fix it, or there's going to be a new problem, or you're going to fix the problem, but they're going to already have another problem, so they're not going to need your help anyway. 24 hours. And finally, ask them the question, what do you think you should do? Simply asking them the question, what do you think you should do? And pausing. And then asking them, are you looking for advice, or do you just want someone to listen? It's key. Because by giving them permission to feel what they feel and actually respecting how they respond, it's going to change the relationship. Because instead of you telling them what they need to hear, it's going to be you asking them, can you share? And if you follow these rules, it's going to be much easier for you to be a parent who can support your child and help them to have the space to work through this process so they can get wherever they want to go. If you're a parent of a high school student, practicing now is great, because by the time they get to college, it's going to be so much easier, because they will have learned how to struggle and work through these issues themselves down the hall, as opposed to having to do this across the country or far away from you. Next question. Should a freshman work about 10 hours a week? We're trying to teach our son ownership in his college tuition, but people are telling him not to work his freshman year. What people? I'm telling him, yeah, work. You need to work. Not only are you going to make some money, it's going to put you in a different place where you're going to meet some different people, and it's going to give you options, because you need to live in a world of options. You don't just want to meet people where you live, and you don't just want to meet people in class. You want to be in another place, and you can make money doing it. So find a job that's going to put you in a really cool environment. If you're athletic, you can work in a rec center. If you are into business, you can work in a business. You could work in retail. Just put yourself in a cool place where you can meet people. You could even work in a department, work with one of your professors, and build a relationship there with grad students and with everyone in the department. So yeah, 10 hours. And if 10 hours is too many, then 8 hours. And if 8 hours is too many, 6 hours or 5 hours. But yeah, working is great. Next question. How do parents insist on seeing grades without causing a division in the relationship? So this could be a really intimidating, this is a tough question. And for you parents who want to see grades, great. Like this is your call. Now, the only thing is your child's going to have to sign a release because of FERPA, their privacy laws. When you have an 18-year-old child, they're looked at as an adult in their privacy laws, so they need to sign a waiver. But here's a suggestion, and I just want to mention before the suggestion, if there's a history where you need to have access because of situations that have come up in the past, then you know that situation much better than me. But here's a different approach. It's asking your child, hey, what are your academic expectations for this year? What do you expect your GPA to be first semester? And keep in mind, a first semester can be the toughest term in terms of academic success. So if your child gives you a GPA where you have expectations, you can then share yours. Or if those expectations are great, you can just listen to those expectations. Then you can ask the question, do you want me to have access to your grades? Are you comfortable with that? Would you like that? Again, asking them, and I know some parents are like, why am I asking? It's just an idea. But when you ask them that, then it gives them power. The motivation is no longer about mom and dad catching me. It's an intrinsic motivation based on them setting goals and reaching that level based on what they want. So after they tell you this, you can decide whether or not you want access. Final question. Does UIC have good parties? Yes. UIC has amazing parties. And every campus has great parties. If you want to find a party, if you don't want to find a party, you don't have to find a party. UIC has every option when it comes to your social life. And what's really cool is if you don't want to party and you're someone who wants to kind of lay low, there are so many things you can do in Chicago. There's so many cultural experiences. I was involved with Improv Olympic, and Improv Olympic is still in the city. You can watch shows, you can see shows, you can get involved with art, you can volunteer, you can get a job, you can be part of an organization. There's so many things you can do, and that's what makes UIC such an incredible place, and that's what makes Chicago one of the most incredible cities in the world. I'm so grateful that I can be here. I love being in your corner. Please use me, ask me your questions, and know that all I want is for you to have the most successful, incredible college experience. Thanks again. It's amazing to be in your corner.